Welcome to your weekly update for your marketing online classes at Gateway Technical College. Welcome to the weekly message for the week starting February 12, 2013. In this week's message, we'll cover the following topics: Blackboard email issues, online class survey, incompletes, class-specific information, and our current events I Spy report. Some of you have either emailed me or sent me a voicemail that you are unable to access email or use all the features of Blackboard properly. It is imperative that you clear up any of these technical issues as soon as you can. The support desk can be reached at https://support.gtc.edu. By going to this site, this will give you the ability to fill out a ticket regarding your situation. Before you fill out your ticket, make sure you are aware that you are using a web browser that is fully compliant with Blackboard 9. It has been my experience that Google Chrome works the best. In some of my classes, I've slowed the pace for students to catch up to the technology issues that they've encountered. This will not continue to happen. All assignments have to be submitted through Blackboard. I've estimated that if all assignments were emailed to me, I would have close to 2,000 emails per month. In the next week, you'll be receiving a very important survey that will be posted on Blackboard and sending to you through email. It is very important that you fill out the survey. What the survey is going to ask you some questions about online classes and how they're delivered at Gateway Technical College, including some questions as a reference to how you like to receive your textbooks, how often and what type of workload should be in online classes, and the type of work that should be assigned in online classes. As we are moving forward with online education here at Gateway Technical College, we're always striving to make the experience better for the students. And so this is your opportunity to have a voice in this process. So again, I highly recommend that you fill these surveys out. Thank you very much. I want to make sure that the policy for incompletes within the business department is clearly understood before you contact me regarding incomplete. This created issues in the past, and I wanted to alleviate any problems that might arise. First, an incomplete is the exception and not the rule. It is a rare situation that a student would qualify for an incomplete. Second, 80% of the coursework must be completed in order to qualify for an incomplete. Third, the maximum amount of time that an incomplete can be granted is 14 days from the last day of class. Finally, the student must complete an action plan of when they will complete the missing assignments. Without this documentation, an incomplete will not be granted. I hope this answers any questions you might have about incompletes. If you have further questions on this topic, please let me know. Now for your course-specific information for the Selling Principles Advanced course. As we go through this unit, 3 items that we wanted to go over. The first 2 are about the current unit at hand. We're going to be talking about how to properly train sales staff and what type of training materials you're going to need to develop a training for your staff. Different organizations are going to look at training in a couple of different ways. Training can be done through internal people, through your sales manager running your internal training. You can have external training done in a couple different ways. You can have vendors come in to do product enhancement pieces on training, and you can hire an outside trainer to discuss training. Now, training will come into 2 different ways. You're going to train people on, obviously, the product knowledge piece, and then the soft skills of sales, the goal setting, time management, and the actual how to close a sale, etc. And so you're going to look at how are you going to balance those 2 items together. And then the last piece kind of goes back to the previous unit of talking about time management and goal setting and why it's important that we understand the influence that these items are going to have into the salesperson. I recently talked to a sales manager from one of the more higher producing car dealerships in the area. He was telling me how you'll get some people that come in that interview great. He thinks they're going to do a great job, and they may not be the best salespeople, and they may kind of flame out. And then he also says, I got some people that may not be great salespeople, but they sell the most amount of vehicles. And so it's important to understand that there's certain things that we do to be successful in sales that don't have anything to do with the sales presentation. How do we provide service? Do we get back to people? Are we contacting them? The amount of things we have to do on a day-to-day basis is pretty significant, and so this idea of time management and goal setting becomes important to it. Especially in a 100% commission situation, you want to make sure that you have people that are going to be goal-driven, because those are the people that are going to succeed. That's the challenge with having a career in sales, is you can be very good at it, but you have to be goal-driven. And a lot of ways that we create that, one way that we create that goal is by having commission. And so when I sold, my commission was always a very important piece to my goals. We would do, regardless of the business or marketing class that you were taking, it is important that you stay on top of current trends in the industry. One way that I try to help you with that is by our I Spy report. And so in each of these weekly messages, we will be doing an I Spy report that may have 1, 2, 3, or even more different articles of interest that affect the marketing and entrepreneurship worlds. So without any further ado, here is this week's I Spy report. Microsoft Office 2013 in the cloud. Information in this I Spy report was pulled from Business Week, February 4th, 2013. So the key points that were brought up in the article had to do with the organizational change in philosophy at Microsoft. January 29th, 2013, Office 2013 was rolled out. Integration of cloud computing, paradigm shift, and Windows is fading based off of sales and increased competition from tablets. We look at the organizational change that took place at Microsoft. We went back to the way when Microsoft first got started. I was at a session several years ago now from the person who started the Cranium board game. He was a Microsoft employee, was Microsoft Employee of the Year. But as the organization started to grow, as most organizations do, as you have more and more people inside of an organization, the formality of the organizational structure changes. And so you see a lot of organizations try to be more free-flowing and try to keep away from that top-down management approach. And you can do that to a certain extent, but once your organization grows to a certain level, bureaucracy has to be part of the organization for it to function properly. And so what Microsoft wanted to do is they looked at what's going on in the industry and saying that they needed to change the way they were set up as an organization. And so they wanted their organization to be set up more like a web startup would be set up, as they said in the article. And so what they wanted to do is they wanted to set up their work teams to be more free-flowing. What the main purpose of this was to be more customer-focused with their product offering. And so really put into play this idea of the marketing concept and understanding how is the marketing concept going, what do we need to do to really be part of this marketing concept, and what changes do we have to make. So one of the big items in the article talked about Office 2013 was being rolled out. It's the first update to Office in 3 years. It follows Windows 8 to the point that it is going to work with different touch devices. And so it's Microsoft's identifying that The computer industry is changing. How people are accessing their programs is going to be changing. And so that's why they've added this idea of cloud integration. Now, some of you may or may not have heard of cloud computing and what the cloud means. It's a term that gets thrown out a lot. What exactly does it mean? Software companies are using the cloud in one of two ways. They are doing like what Adobe has done, which is you can purchase the software for an annual maintenance fee, basically. The way Adobe words it in their contract language is that you're renting the software. And so Microsoft is saying Microsoft Office you can purchase from a consumer side all the applications that are in Office 2013 for $100 a year. You can get up to 5 licenses at that rate. And so basically what that means is 5 licenses. You can put 1 license on a Mac PC, 1 on a laptop, and 1 on a tablet, just as long as it's not an iPad. They have not fully developed Office for the iPad yet. It's supposedly in reach in regards to that they're working on it, but they really made sure that they had no comment about that product coming out for the iPad. The second part of the cloud computing piece is cloud storage. And so it's basically an online storage system. And if you buy the $100 a year, you do get 20 gigs of storage. With this idea that people are not just tied to a desk anymore, and it allows multiple people to work on documents at the same time. It allows you to access the document from wherever you're at. The one thing that's very interesting was the comment from the CEO that talked about this paradigm shift. And the comment that he said was Office 2013 should be viewed as a service, not as a product. So it's a complete shift from where they have been at. And so it's this idea that software companies need to understand that their product may not be their item, their main purpose may not be a tangible item. And so certain things have to happen for this to be successful. Number one, they're going to have to update the product more than every 3 years. Because if I'm paying $100 a year for it, and you don't change it in 3 years, I paid $300 for that product. So from a consumer side of it, is it really worth it for me to, quote unquote, rent the software at $100 per year, or can I buy just the full versions? Is that going to be more cost effective? Which way is that going to run out for me? There's a definite benefit to the software company if they get people to buy in and rent the product out. First of all, obviously, there's a cost to manufacturing and producing boxes and CDs that you send out. That's number one. Number two, there's a definite advantage when it comes to your distribution channels. If you're offering this over the cloud, your direct distribution, or people buying the product directly from you, is probably going to increase. And so you can take your retailers like Best Buy out of the entire picture here. Now, when I did go to Best Buy, you can buy the access card to download to get access to the cloud software. They're not selling the boxes. And so you can buy the access card at Best Buy, but do you think a lot of people are going to go to Microsoft.com to purchase that product from them directly? There's a very good chance of that. And the other thing that Microsoft needed to look at was this idea that Windows is fading in popularity in regards to profitability inside that organization. Because there was a long time that Windows was a very profitable product for them. It was a very important product for them because everyone had to have Windows on their computer. Well, now that we're accessing and doing work on our smartphones, our tablets, those are running on other operating systems other than Windows. So they need to make sure that they're identifying and replacing that revenue stream. And so that's very important for them to understand, and it's good for them that they're seeing a change in the marketplace and they're changing their company to fit that change in the marketplace before it's too late. Last year, Microsoft Office represented 32% of Microsoft's revenue. So obviously you want to make sure that they keep that product as a sustaining, profitable item. There's one area of danger that I saw. They mentioned in the article, they talked about a company named Dropbox, which is a cloud storage product. They recently passed the 100 million user mark. And CEO of Microsoft said, the quote was interesting. He called it a nice little startup. You have to remember that 100 million users sounds like a small number. Sometimes it's dangerous to be in first place. You know, I think of the case study of worrying about your competition. I think of Blockbuster. Now, there was a time when no one thought anyone could put Blockbuster out of business. They were putting Blockbusters up on every corner. Seemed like anytime there was construction being done, it was either Blockbuster or Walgreens that was being put up. What happened to Blockbuster? They did two things. They didn't adapt their product to meet the change of technologies, and the second thing they did is they did not take their competition seriously. I was at a session 6 or 7 years ago at where there was this marketing manager from Nike was speaking, and someone in the crowd asked, well, are you concerned about Under Armour? And the marketing manager's response to the question was, who? Sarcastically responded, and everyone knew that he understood who Under Armour was, but he basically said, we don't view them much as a competition. And so when you're in that situation where you are so far ahead in number one, sometimes if that competition jumps on you, it's hard for you to adjust on the fly and make those changes. It seems like Microsoft is in the right way to make some changes there, but I'm still concerned about making that comment that 100 million users sounds like a small number. Because I'm sure when Redbox got started and Netflix got started, Blockbuster said the exact same things.